Gold is soon poised to race all the way back up to $1,000 an ounce. It's currently hovering around the $930 an ounce mark, and this is due to rising production costs and dwindling supply of the gold.
This podcast is brought to you by SafestGold.com. Call now for your free gold kit at 1-800-510-9594. An $80 value, this kit and DVD will show you everything you need to know about gold and how to use gold in your investment portfolio. Call 1-800-510-9594.
It's time for the Gold Show. Jonathan Rose, CEO, President of the Capital Gold Group, and Precious Metals Investment Strategist is with us today. Jonathan, as always, it's good to talk with you.
And it's a pleasure to be here. On today's broadcast, I have a quick news flash. And according to the World Gold Council, gold is soon poised to race all the way back up to $1,000 an ounce. It's currently hovering around the $930 an ounce mark. And this is due to rising production costs and dwindling supply of the gold. And again, this is something I always talk about on the show because there's only so much gold out there. So you want to find out how you can add gold to your portfolio before it's too late and it's too gone, because there's only so much of it out there. And by the way, gold is a great hedge against inflation. There's a reason why there's a dwindling supply, and that's because people are adding gold to their portfolio because it preserves long-term hedge and it really provides a lot of stability in this downward market that we're noticing.
Jonathan, also one reminder, later in the program we'll do our Ask Mr. Rose segment, and if you have a question for Jonathan Rose, you can go online to askmrrose.com and ask your message about gold or precious metals, and maybe you'll hear it right here on the program, okay? All right, into the program. Now, Jonathan, you opened the show today talking about some breaking news here, reason to believe that the price of gold will be going back up and relatively soon. Talk a bit about this, because over the years, you really have been spot on these forecasts that you have called out. What are you basing this on?
Well, according to the World Gold Council, and they're the authority on gold, they just recently released a news release straight from Singapore explaining that due to rising costs and dwindling supply, and also looking at inflation and the economy, that the deep recession that we're in right now, gold is really the new safe haven, or the portfolio insurance that people are looking for, to safeguard their shrinking dollars. And I've always told people there's only so much gold actually out there in the whole world. And it's funny, there's this little fact that's on the DVD as well that people can get when they call in, and it mentions that the world's total amount of gold accumulated during all of history is only about 125,000 metric tons, and this would form actually a single cube merely 60 feet by 60 feet by 60 feet, being valued today at $1.4 trillion. And if you compare that to our trade deficit, which is even higher, it makes you realize there really isn't that much gold out there. And in fact, a lot of gold is actually in the ocean right now, but considering the ocean covers 2/3 of the world, it's actually more expensive to try and excavate that gold out of the ocean and bring it back on land. It would actually be more than the actual gold is worth. So there's only so many, gold mines out there in the world. And when they do find a new gold mine, it actually takes them 7 to 10 years to set up that mine and get the gold back out to the ground, purify it, and then get it back into the public's hand. So once that gold is gone, it's gone. So you definitely want to pick some up now before it evaporates or it gets into other people's hands. And, gold is a great hedge against inflation. It's independent of all market cycles. And what I love about gold, you don't have to worry about who the CEO is, who's the board of directors, which way the company is running. Absolutely not. And in fact, if you think things are going to get worse before they get better, just like President Obama stated, then you should definitely keep your eyes on gold, because not only does it have a 2,000-year track record, but as the world continues to unravel and people are, flocking to the hills for a safer vehicle to park their money into, well, that vehicle is gold. And the likes of Warren Buffett, and if you follow him like I do, Well, he recently just purchased two of the largest gold manufacturing companies in America today. Why? Well, he sees long-term value and growth in gold, just like we do, just like companies such as Merrill Lynch, Citigroup, where they're expecting gold to be $3,000 to $4,000 an ounce within the next 5 to 7 years. And I absolutely 100% agree with them.
So now is a buying opportunity. We are talking with Jonathan Rose. Mr. Rose, of course, is an accomplished background with base metals market, precious metals market, and he joins us to talk about these numbers and what's going on and explaining gold with up-to-date gold market reports and in-depth analysis of the current international economic trends. So, Jonathan, right now is a time when it's just poised to jump forward, and this supply and demand issue is going to be driving it, is what you're saying.
Absolutely, and supply and demand is very easy to follow and understand. And when you have a fixed supply of something and a huge demand, it's going to push the price up. And when you couple that with all the economic problems that we're having out there, people are actually realizing that the next 5 to 10 years, you want to have a balanced portfolio. And it's great to have your stocks and your CDs or wherever your money's parked, but you really want to have anywhere from 5 to 30% of what you have in paper to be moved sideways into precious metals that you get to hold on to. And when adding gold to your portfolio, you're not buying gold, you're owning gold. It's a currency transfer, and gold is a currency, but it's a real currency. So, it can't be devalued by the government. It's a great hedge against inflation. And in fact, back in 1967, the South African Krugerrand was the first gold bullion coin to be produced in an exact 1 troy ounce, and it was sold for the spot price of gold. And at that time, US citizens were not allowed to own gold, but they were allowed to own foreign coins. So the introduction of the Krugerrand enabled citizens to own gold for the first time. But then in January the 1st, 1975, after 40 years, President Nixon then let it become legal for US citizens to own gold again, and it's remained legal ever since. And maybe gold, maybe the past 10 years has been looked as a backseat investment or what's called as an alternative investment. Well, it's definitely not looked as an alternative investment anymore. It's actually looked as a necessity to balance out your portfolio. And if you're working with a financial planner or a broker and they're not recommending gold to you, ask them why. Because we work with thousands of broker dealers and financial advisors across the country who actually use our gold affiliate program. It's the first of its kind, where they actually offer gold to their clients who come to them for other products such as annuities and mutual funds, but you can get it directly from the source. And whether you're looking to purchase one gold coin, whether you're looking to balance out your portfolio, whether you're looking for the rarer gold coins, which I've mentioned on previous shows, gold coins minted prior to 1933 that are considered non-confiscatable and non-reportable, we're here to help you with the whole process, not just from getting the gold into your hand, but really tracking the gold with you, because everything is extremely transparent when doing a gold purchase with the Capital Gold Group. And when it comes time to sell the gold, we actually want to buy our own gold back because we know the authenticity, we know the purity of the gold, and like I mentioned before, there's only so much gold out there. And like the World Gold Council stated, dwindling supplies of gold are going to be a factor for the rising cost of the yellow metal too. So when it comes time to sell, we always want to buy back our own gold.
You are listening to The Gold Show. Mr. Rose is an internationally recognized advisor and commentator on the gold markets and global economies. He believes that the public demand for information and advice on gold as a wealth preservation strategy, safe haven asset, and long-term investment in these volatile financial times is greater than ever before. And Jonathan, there are a lot of people sitting there with 401ks that have slipped to 201ks. They're looking at the CDs that they're getting, just pennies on the dollar. You can have literally $100,000.